Welcome to the Graybeard Chronicles podcast. Your hosts, Brian Halstead and Kevin Harkins, are two gray-bearded patriots who love God, their family and friends, and their country. The Graybeards are here to inspire, inform, and educate you on a myriad of topics they are passionate about. Brian and Kevin have a strong desire to share this with you to help you live your best life. Sit back and enjoy this amazing podcast as the Graybeards pass along the wisdom of the ages.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Graybeard Chronicles. I'm Brian Halstead.
And I'm Kevin Harkins.
And Kevin, we're here to pass along some wisdom of the ages. What the heck does that mean?
We're not perfect, but we do have gray beards. And that means we've got some significant life experience, some life lessons, and some perspectives that are worthy of passing along.
Well, I think that sums it up nicely. Let's get to it. Kevin, what's going on, buddy?
Let's get to it, Bryant. Here we go. Congratulations. 2 years. 2 years to you. 2 years to our audience.
Yeah.
This is a big deal. Thank you guys for coming. For those of you who are listening and not watching this on video, we are in front of and recording for the first time in front of a live studio audience. I guess this is a studio, right?
It is today.
It is today. Yeah.
I'm not sure what it is every day, but today it's a studio.
How are you doing?
I'm doing well.
What's going on?
I'm doing well. This is a weird setup, right?
I know it is.
It's a little
different.
weird knowing that there's somebody besides just the camera looking back at us while we're talking. So, yeah, it's kind of cool. And thank you guys for showing up. I know we said that before we started recording, the first time and the second time maybe. But I think we've got all the technology worked out, so we are ready to go.
And what are we doing tonight?
Well, we're talking about what we've done over the last couple years and maybe reviewing some information and asking each other some questions and seeing if we can embarrass one another and and inviting folks that are here to come up and ask questions too. As we said before we started recording that we have these discussions back and forth kind of in a vacuum, and we know that people are listening, and we may cover something that's very interesting to you and you want to hear more about it, but we stop and take another path or something. So now's your opportunity to go back and review some of those things that we've talked about. And if you have questions, come on up. We got a couple extra microphones up here and love to engage you in some conversation.
Yeah, I am excited about engaging with all of you, and it is odd to look out and see faces, but it's also kind of energizing to find out, there's nothing worse than throwing a party and nobody shows up.
Right.
And here they are. So, but they all kind of look, kind of calm and quiet. We should have started drinking earlier.
Maybe Skyla hadn't made enough trips in here. Got to dial up the frequency a little bit.
Yes.
But they all have to, drive or ride home too, so got to be careful of that.
Absolutely. We want to take this opportunity to tell you guys maybe something that's a little bit more consolidated about what Graybeard Chronicles is or are. Graybeard Chronicles, that's plural. What Graybeard Chronicles are.
Yeah. Who
we are, what we're doing. And as we were thinking this week about what we could do to sort of describe it in some very simple terms, and with the help of my wife Paula, actually, who took the time to think through and look at our entire list of podcast items that we've published. What is this? 100 and
this will be 105.
105.
Yep, 105.
There's kind of three things that we're after with Graybeard Chronicles, and we're thrilled that you guys are here to be part of this community that we feel like we're starting to build. We have a flyer that I'm happy to email to anybody if you guys want it, that kind of describe what this is. It's kind of a fly sheet or almost like a marketing sheet. But there's three things that we're trying to communicate through this platform that we're using with Graybeards. Number one, personal and professional development. We've had many different podcasts about how we as individual people can exercise, implement strategies in our own personal lives that make us better people, make life a little bit easier, make the things that we are going after actually achievable because of the habits that you can instill in your life. So that's thing number one. Thing number two, leadership wisdom from the past and to the present. bringing people in, talking to Robin and Carrick and other guests that we've had.
Our favorite guests, Robin and Carrick.
Our favorite guests.
Well, Robin, anyways. I mean, it was nice to have Carrick here too.
From Sweat Fredericksburg, we got to give him that plug one more time. As well as going back and examining, we did just a couple weeks ago a podcast that I actually listed as one of my all-time favorites so far, and that is Thomas Jefferson's Canons of Conduct. That was an amazing sort of discovery, because I mean, Ben Franklin has his 10 principles of how to live a successful life. I didn't know Thomas Jefferson had written this stuff about the canons of conduct and how to sort of behave yourself. And that was great, and he was an awesome leader in our history of our country.
Yeah, it's a good discussion, and certainly things that we need to be utilizing in our society today.
You betcha. And the third thing is good citizenry. That's what we call it. What it means to be a good citizen, what it means to be a decent human being in this crazy world that we live in right now, and the ways that we can be little beacons of hope and of light and of goodness that are out there just living a good life by respecting the rule of law, by loving our country, by respecting and treating all people with respect and dignity, all of those kinds of things. So that kind of, I would say, in 3 simple categories.
Yeah, I noticed the one category that didn't make the list.
Yeah.
Politics and current events.
Yeah. Yeah.
We refer to the episodes involving politics and current events as our dark times.
The dark ages.
The dark ages, when we're venturing off into an area that really is not our sweet spot. So we apologize for that. There might have been some good info in there, and that's not what we set out to do. So we're going to stay away from that shit.
Yeah. Yeah, but we've come back from the wandering through the woods, and here we are, continuing on. So, there you go.
So as a framework for tonight, Kevin and I were talking about, what are we going to, because we pick a topic every week and then we discuss that topic. Well, this is kind of a review of what we've done over the last couple of years. And so what we decided to do is come up with some questions to ask one another, and kind of pertaining to the different episodes that we've done and the experiences that we've had and so on. And I know if you've listened to the podcast, which I know you all have, you've heard how we met, I think. Kevin tells that story better than I do, though. So for those that haven't heard that story, I think maybe you should share that. What do you think?
I would love to share that story. That's a good one. Have we covered that on the podcast? Has anybody? We have. Okay. All right. Who does not know that story? Anybody? Okay, there's a few. All right. So here we were. This is, I'm going to guess 6 Bears and a Goat had been open for maybe 2 or 3 months. Something like that. It was in the
45 seconds or so.
Yeah, it was in the early days.
I mean, we heard there was beer in the neighborhood, and it didn't take us long to get here.
So I was standing in what is now the kind of the main dining room out there, and I'm looking out, just kind of watching what's going on out there. And all of a sudden, all these biker dudes started showing up. And when you're a place like this, and you're young, you're kind of wondering, how is this place going to be accepted by the local community, and who are we going to become? And so, it was just 1 or 2, and then it was 5, and then it was 10, and then it was, oh shit, what's going on here? And and if you're not familiar with biker clubs, which I wasn't all that. I mean, I saw them all the time, but I didn't. Actually, I wasn't familiar with the culture. There's a whole bunch of stuff that I didn't know. So I'm like, and for those of you guys who live that life, I know it's funny to you guys, but to those of who hasn't, and you're all tatted up, and you got the chains, and you got the, whatever, all the stuff, the boots, the chains, the big wallet, all of it, and you're like, I got to go find out what's going on, because we don't want to be that kind of place. That was the idea.
What do you mean by that kind of place? This is way more detailed than you've ever put in this story.
You gave me the mic, and you asked me to do it.
I'm getting what I asked for, right?
I learned this. I learned this from you. I couldn't have articulated it at the time, but I wondered if you were one of those 1%ers. Is that a term? Is that a term of art?
That is a term.
All right. So anyway, I go out to this
crowd.
Are not. I go out to this crowd of bikers, and they're smoking cigars and drinking beer and carrying on. And I'm like, hey, what's going on? How is everybody? They're like, yeah, who's the old guy with the gray beard? Yeah, that doesn't look like us. Anyway, instantly, I was treated with respect. I was treated with just kindness from the very first interaction. It was amazing, and I knew almost instantly that this was not the story that I was telling in my head about who this was. And after chatting with a number of you, and there may be others that are in the room that I was chatting with, but finally everybody steered me to Bryant, and I got up with him, and we ended up chatting and found out that we looked different, maybe we talked different, maybe we used a little bit different language, but we had very much in common, and very similar worldviews coming from two completely different backgrounds. It was wonderful, actually, and it was very refreshing. And so off we were running, and then I learned about Strength and Honor and many other motorcycle clubs that are doing amazing things for this country as charitable organizations and just being good people within the communities that they serve. And so we got to talking, and then Brian eventually invited me to go to the club and have a discussion about mindset one night, and I did that. That was in the early days, and that all went very well. And I know that some of you guys were there during that period of time. And then one day, I don't know how long ago that was. A year later? I don't know. Probably
a year or so later.
Yeah. All of a sudden, it was a text.
Yeah.
It was a text message, and it was just, "Hey, Kevin, you want to start a podcast?" No idea what it was going to be. No idea what it was going to be called. And I immediately responded with, yes, I want to do that because I think we have a story to tell, and I think it would be fun. So that was a little more than 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And then the last thing I say, and then I'll let you add color. One of the things that I appreciate about this guy that I've learned as he's become a very good friend of mine is that he keeps pushing forward, just keeps pushing forward along the way. And, when you start talking about doing something that you're unfamiliar with, that you are a little nervous about doing, you kind of think, this is not necessarily an easy thing to do. It takes a lot of commitment. And I was just, kind of like, he goes, no, we got to pick a date. We got to do it. And we have to. And so he started pushing me. No, I don't want to hear, let's do it in 6 months and plan it and talk about it and all. Let's do it. Let's just get started with it. Well, we really don't know what we're doing. Let's just do it. And then it was just a couple weeks before your birthday, 4th of July. And he said, let's get it done somewhere around my birthday. And I said, all right. And there we were, off and running. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. And I'm glad to know you. Thanks for being here.
I'm glad to know you, man. That's a great rendition of the story too, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And the whole I won't go back and revisit our experience as far as coming here, other than saying that we'd heard there was a brewery opening in this area, and it's like, oh my God, we need something like that. We need to go check it out because that could be a new home for us. Other than the other homes that we have, the actual homes. But so we were here having a good time, and Kevin came out, and the rest is history. So interestingly enough, though, I want to talk about what you said as far as me shooting a text to you. And I think we might have talked, on the podcast about this, where two things. So, you have those little gremlins that will try to talk you out of stuff. And so the reason I sent him a text message was I'd been thinking about starting a podcast for, a year or so, maybe longer. Had this microphone that we later named Thor, that you may have seen at some point or heard us talk about. And I was ready, had some equipment. It's not what we're using now, but we were ready to go. And I just hadn't pulled the trigger yet. So I thought, well, let's see if Kevin will do it. And then I had that internal dialogue with myself. He's not going to be interested in doing that. And I'm like, oh, fuck it. I'm sending him a text message before I have a chance to talk myself out of it. So I sent him a text message, and very short order, he responded back, yeah, let's do it. And then, the banter back and forth about, well, let's set a date. No, we're going to do it by this time. We made that commitment. And so, And then we actually started recording, which was weird. The first couple of times we had this one microphone between us, and we had to lean in and get all uncomfortably close to one another. And, we would have a conversation just like this, sitting there talking to one another. And as soon as I hit the record button, it'd be like, we forgot how to speak. It was just start stumbling over your words and so on. Not that we don't do that now sometimes, but that's part of the fun. And that's one of the reasons that we don't do a lot of editing on here, is because, we want people to be comfortable making mistakes. And that's something that we put out there as a lesson. And, don't be afraid of failing. And we're just like you. And, so we don't want to make it sound all professionally edited and so on and so forth, because that's not who we are. We're just here having a conversation. So thanks for saying yes. That just sounded weird.
The thing that I remember about Thor in the early days was, so we Americans, we don't realize this. Those of you who've traveled a lot around the world, we have our personal space is much wider. We have a much bigger personal space than many parts of the world. And so when Thor, if this is Thor, and we're here trying to do this lean in thing on there, whew, man, that's, for Americans, that's uncomfortable. And that's the way it was for a few. Eventually I got used to seeing, I could recognize whether or not he shaved his head that morning. You
noticed I shaved my head today, right?
You're looking good, man.
'Cause that was a nappy shit I had on my head.
That was, yeah.
It was time for that to go.
You're looking good today.
Thank you.
Yeah,
very much.
Yeah. Awesome. All right, so there you go.
All right, so any more to that story?
No,
we're good
that's
there.
it. That's it. I'm done.
All right, so let's talk about things that we've done on the podcast and subject matter and so on, and ask each other some questions, because I've got some good questions.
Okay. I have a question for the audience that I would like you to start thinking about, so that if hopefully some of you come up and decide to ask questions, but that would be, what has been most impactful to you? I have a listing, I know Bryant has one too, of the things that have been most impactful to me, and things that I've learned, and things that I think could be helpful to folks. And we'll probably get into that a little bit, but I'm always interested, sometimes surprised, sometimes caught off guard about people who talk to me and say, I really liked this particular one, because I'm sure you felt the same way. Sometimes you get done recording these, and I'm driving home from his house, which is very often where we record, and I'm like, man, that was not a good one. That one sucked. I wish I had said this different. I wish I'd said that different. I wish I would have made this point, and I didn't make it. And then I go back and listen to it later and go, okay, that's all right. It wasn't as bad as I thought it was. But then I'll talk to somebody else, and they'll say, I really liked this particular point, which I thought was enough. I thought it was a throwaway comment or something. Yeah. And it really connected with them, and I love that part of it. So I'd love to hear that if folks decide to come up and talk about that. So.
Yeah, that's cool. I'm glad you said that, because it's one of those things, and you and I both have said this when we're talking in front of an audience. There may be 100 people in the room, 200 people in the room, and there could be 199 people that walk out of there that day and not hear anything worthwhile that's going to do something for them. But there might be one person in the room that hears something that will absolutely change their life, and that's worth the price of admission right there, man. That's worth the time it took to do it. So that's one of the driving forces behind why we do what we do. And we're not sharing theory with people. This is called passing on the wisdom of the ages, because that's what it is. Either life experiences that we've had based on mistakes we've made, or lessons that other people have shared with us based on things they've done right and things they've done wrong, and so on, and the outcomes that were the result.
Yeah, you when you say that, you remind me of all these podcasts start rolling through my head again about things that have impacted me. But I got to back up for a minute. Many of you are not aware, but there's a speaker series that we had at the brewery that we're getting ready to bring into to our world, the Graybeard world, called Lob Talks, Learning Over Beer Talks. And once a month, we would have a speaker from the outside come in to the brewery, sometimes to this room, and if it was going to be a really big crowd, into the big room, and they would talk on a subject that was important to them. And these were very valuable conversations to have, and I very much look forward to bringing them into our realm. But same thing, I remember people, you'd sit there and listen to it, because the Lob Talk is about the guest, and the guest getting their message out. It's not about the people who were hosting. And I remember sitting there in the audience going, wow, that was amazing. I didn't see that coming. I'm glad they said it. But other people were hit by other things. So it's just an interesting dynamic.
Yeah,
I guess.
So what's your favorite episode? You had to think back of all 104 thus far. This being the 105th. What's your favorite episode?
I can't. I have favorites. I don't think.
So if you can narrow it down to 3.
Well, I have like 9 listed here.
Jesus. All right. Well, give us 5.
All right, 5. All right. It's going to take a minute. So, all right. All the way back to, well, I like the first one just because it was the first one. That was a rough one. The one about suicide. That was the very first podcast, and that, getting up close and personal with that, especially after I had lost a friend not long before that, maybe 6 months, who decided to, cash it in. That was, so that was a good one, and I think that was a really good one to start with. It was a really tough one to start with because it wasn't happy and fun. It was very serious.
No, that's actually one of the top ones on my list too, because of the message that it communicates.
Right.
It's the title of that one was "Suicide in America: The Epidemic We're Not Talking About," and that's a problem because suicide in America is a problem. A huge number of people, in excess of 40,000 people annually. And that's on the low side. It's probably more like 45, 48, somewhere in that neighborhood. It might even gone over 50 by now. 1,000 people a year taking their own lives. The fuck, I mean, how are we letting that go with not having more conversations about it? Now, yes, there's plenty of organizations out there having conversations. There's not enough. There's not enough people talking about it. And that was the message, one of the prime messages in that podcast, and that one's definitely very important to me.
I like Destiny, Choice or Chance. That was actually number 2. Why are you laughing? What is up with that?
I was like, dude, why are you sharing with us your favorite stripper name? And then I remembered that was actually a podcast. But yeah, okay, sorry.
Chastity, that's yours?
No, Destiny. That's your favorite stripper name.
No, yours is Chastity, right? That's what you told me.
I don't have a favorite stripper name.
Goodness. Not what you told me. It's not what you told me.
Oh, I don't know. Julie, what's my favorite stripper name? I'm not sure.
She doesn't know. She does not know. No, just the reason I like that is because this I think is an important topic. All of us can decide who it is we're going to be and what we're going to do with our lives. And a lot of people just say, I'm sort of drifting through life. Things are happening to me, and there's all kind of input coming at me, and it's just going to turn out the way it turns out. And that's the way life is. I don't believe that for 1 second. And I said that on the podcast, and I'll say it again tonight. The best way to predict your future is to create it.
Yep.
Everybody in this room can decide who it is they want, what they want to do, who they want to be, how they want to get there. It's not going to be a perfect straight line that you get there, but you know where you want to end up, and you start moving in that direction. And so destiny is a choice, absolutely 100%. And there's a lot of people who never took the time to stop and think about it.
Yeah.
And when they do, and they realize I have control of what I can do in my life. Now, there's all kind of stuff that happens. People decide they don't like you anymore and they want to get divorced. Things happen. You get in a car accident. Shit happens. But at the end of the day, you get to wake up every single morning, be thankful and grateful for that day, and then move forward toward those goals that you've set for yourself. It's a choice every single day. And I love that. I love that about life. Yeah. So that was a good one for me.
Yeah, that reminds me of a Churchill quote, and I think we might have called it out on that podcast. Winston Churchill said, "History will be kind to me, for I intend to write it." That's what you're doing.
There you go.
You're writing your history every day by the thoughts you have and the actions you have and the results that you produce.
My next one. Am I doing this?
Well, we were going to do a list of 5, and then
I'm not going to do all of them. I'm skipping over some.
All right. What else you got?
No, your turn.
My turn?
Yeah.
All right.
Go.
So I said that one. The another one I have on the list is the episode that we did on grief. It was number 11.
Yeah.
Good grief, understanding emotions after loss. That was one that had a personal connection to, based on a loss that I and those others in my motorcycle club were experiencing with one of our members, and I thought it was a cool way to share some information with those people that I knew were hurting too, and a larger audience, because we all suffer loss periodically, and different people deal with it in different ways, and you have to give each person the grace of doing it their own way. There's no there's people will tell you there's different stages. Well, who the fuck gave them that right to say there's different stages? Because I might do something completely different. I might have 8 stages and they say there's only 4. Well, what are my extra ones? I think that's all bullshit. I mean, you deal with grief how you deal with it, providing that it's in a productive way. So, when you have folks that are maybe doing things that aren't so productive, excessive, substance abuse and things like that, maybe you need to step in then. But yeah, I mean, it's a topic. Again, it's like one of the topic of suicide. It's something that you need to have open and honest conversations with each other about, and help one another, get through it. I think one of the things that we called out there is you don't move on, you move forward, right? Because moving on is kind of disrespectful, because it's like you're moving on without that person that you may have lost. What you do is you continue to live your life and you move forward with them and their memories. And yeah, so that was an important one to me.
Yeah. And yeah, I was going to make a point, and then I jumped to the next thought and I forgot what the point was. It had with respect. Yeah. I know. I barely started.
Stop talking and drink, man.
Wait, what was it? It was good. It was really good. I know you guys. You need to be hanging on the edge, because this is a really good one. I forgot. I can't remember what it was. Oh, everybody grieves.
This is my Monday Night Life.
Yeah. Everybody grieves in their own way. That's the thing, because a lot of times, I know I do it. I've done it many times. You're looking at somebody who's going through something, and you go, they just need to snap out of it. Just stop it already. And maybe that is what they need, but you also have to give them the grace to allow them to grieve in their own way, and to just deal with it in their own way, and have that. So, all right, I'm going to go next. I'm going to jump all the way to the end. And I'm not saying that because you guys are here. I really mean it. One of my top podcasts were with Robin and Carrick, and I would encourage you guys to chat with them tonight. One of the reasons that, and part of that comes actually from my daughter, who listens to the podcast, and she listened to your guys' podcast, and she goes, the thing that I liked about it, it was just so real. It was just so unfiltered and real, and I love it when people are like that. When you don't have to guess or do a dance or do this awkward thing about who are they and what's their agenda and what are they up to, and they're not like that. They were just sort of blah. It was all out there.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I mean, we had to kind of pry it out of them a little bit to begin with, kind of make them feel comfortable, and yeah.
But there are so many good ones. I got to mention George Bruno also. The reason that I liked his, not that I necessarily agreed with every single thing that he or anybody has said that we've had on and guests. Right. I agreed with a lot. It was just interesting. That's all. It was just he was an interesting fella to listen to, and I've since had a follow-up phone conversation with him. That was fun. He's just a fun, interesting guy. And and he's very good at what he does, and I that was a really fun one.
Yeah, if you haven't checked out his YouTube channel, check it out, George Bruno. Great guy. He's one of the reasons that I was interested in doing a podcast or YouTube channel was just watching his stuff, and it's pretty cool. Started out as a men's grooming channel, and I found him because I was looking for beard grooming tips, and beard care tips, and then he's branched out into professional development, coaching, mentorship. He's a licensed psychotherapist, and did that for a number of years, and got burnt out on it, and so now he's transitioning into the coaching world. So just a solid dude. Check him out.
I gotta say one more 2-minute warning for you guys to be invited to come up and ask questions. You good with that? I
guess I am.
Oh, I'm sorry. How you give
Hold on,
the
let's
warning.
talk about it for a second.
All right.
No, I'm fine with that.
You are you?
Yeah.
You sure?
Yeah.
I don't
This is my I'm fine face.
All right. That's not his I'm fine face. Not at all.
Right. Julie's back there going, yeah, that's not his.
All right, I'm just going to let you
No, that's
go.
fine. 2 minutes. I'm good. I'm just fucking with you, man. It's all good.
Okay. So John DeVore, we did a podcast with John DeVore, and he is the captain of the Red Bull Air Force, those guys that jump out of planes with squirrel suits on and all that stuff. That was an amazing guy, and he had stories that just made you sort of stop and go, wow. One of the things, true story, he talks about it on the podcast, but I remember being so impacted by that I believe in God. I believe in higher existence and all of that. And he jumped out of the plane to do they were filming a movie. Actually, some big, he's done many blockbuster movies.
Yeah, I think I heard Point Break from the crowd. I think that's what it was.
Point Break, but there's others. But 007, James Bond. Some of that stuff. And anyway, he jumped out, and he was going to parachute down to a snow-covered mountain, and then ski down. Land on the mountain, and then ski down, and do something like that. And for those of you who are skydivers, you know this. I didn't know it at all. You pull the cord, and a small chute comes out that's intended to just catch the air to pull the big chute out. Well, that didn't happen. The small chute came out, but it never pulled the big chute out because I don't know why. So he's fallen out of an airplane toward a snow-covered mountain at nearly there was this tattered, and he freaking lands on the side of the mountain by the grace of God on a ledge, not a big ledge, a narrow ledge on the side of the mountain, with some packed snow in there. Poof, hits on that thing, but he fell from like 10,000 feet, and he's going just about as fast as you can go, just falling out through the air. And they thought he was dead. His whole team said, "That's it. We've lost John. He's dying on the side of the mountain." A helicopter flew over. They came to get him. And after laying there for 5 to 10 minutes, he sat up, and he was okay. It was
I'm
amazing.
not done yet.
Yeah, and not only did he sit up and he was okay, but he ended up finishing the scene by somehow deploying his, what do they call that sport when you sail down the side of a mountain with skis on? Parasailing or paraskiing? I don't know, whatever it is.
No idea.
Okay. So he finishes that, and then, the doctors are all checking him out. Like, you must have broken everything inside your body, internal, everything messed up. But the thing, the story itself is amazing because it's like, wow. But the thing that about it was that event in his mind caused him to cross a psychological threshold where basically he had no fear of life ever again. He's just like, I don't know when I'm going. I don't know what's going to happen. All kinds of shit can happen and end your life. And he just said fear was gone from his life. It's amazing. It's so like freeing to know that you experience something like that, and it has such a deep psychological effect, and it was just fascinating to me. So
didn't he talk about having after he got back home having some like horrible rash that nobody could explain, what it was and what was causing it, how to get it to go away, and ultimately one of the doctors that he was talking with said, I've only seen something like this one other time, and it was in the case of someone that had a near-death experience. And John was like, well, holy shit, I think that's it. And it was some kind of weird rash, that just popped up as a result of that experience, and ultimately went away. That's pretty wild.
What's your next favorite?
Next favorite, Imposter Syndrome.
Yeah.
Got a ton of feedback, and I think that's one of our top viewed episodes, talking about Imposter Syndrome. I've had several people that have reached out that I wouldn't necessarily have heard from otherwise, and would have never known that was a challenge for them, that have reached out and said, man, that podcast was spot on, and the timing was perfect because it's something that I've been dealing with, and shared some personal experiences and so on. I thought that was cool. Okay.
Yeah, same thing. I heard the same thing, and just allowing people to get over that too. You're not an imposter. If you've been selected for a certain job, or if you've found yourself in a position of authority and responsibility that you don't feel like you deserve because they just haven't discovered you yet, they haven't figured out who you really are. That's not true. You are. You were promoted. You were put in that position. You found yourself in that. You're not an imposter. You
Yeah, show of hands if you've ever had a thought that you weren't good enough in a certain scenario, right? If you're human, you've had that thought, right? So imposter syndrome is kind of an expansion of that, and how it shows up in our everyday lives potentially, and something to be aware of and understand how to combat.
All right. That's good. Yeah, that one's okay.
All right.
That was all right.
What's the next one for you? Wait, I got some other good questions too, but let's go with this for now.
I'll tell you one more, and then you can ask me any question, and I can. Right. And I just remember. I
understand that the rounds can fly both ways here.
So we live in a loud, noisy, chaotic world right now. It can be deafening, and we did the podcast on be still. Just take the time to be quiet, to be still in the privacy of your own head, in your own way, the way that you sort of get away from it all, that you escape into your own area of peace. All of us need to take the time to do it, whether it's a walk through the woods, a laying down by the pool in the chair, relaxing under the sun, or reading a good book,
doing pickleback shots.
Doing pickleback shots. Yeah, that was amazing.
Yeah, pretty damn good, right? I just learned about those this past, like 2 weekends ago. Holy shit, who knew?
I know. It really was amazing. So, yeah, take the time to do that and turn off all the bullshit that's coming in through all of our electronic devices. It is coming at you nonstop. And you have control. You can decide to tune it all out and just be still and recenter and regain. I don't mean in some woo-woo kind of weird way. I mean just be still. Find who you are. Get recentered. And I think that's important for everybody.
Yeah, agreed. Cannot have enough cave time. That's what I call my be still time. And sometimes, it's not in an actual cave, but it's in kind of a man cave. Or wherever. It's all about the mindset and that mindset that you get in when you're taking that time to reset and so on.
Yeah. Sorry, I was.
Were you going?
I was going
into
somewhere.
your headspace right there?
Yeah. No.
All right, come back to us, man. We got to keep going here.
I'm just.
All right, so let's ask some. I want to ask you some other stuff. So what's we talked about your favorite episode. What's your biggest takeaway from doing this over the past 2 years?
For me, the biggest takeaway is anything in life that's worth it isn't easy. You got to work at it. You got to chip away at it. You got to stick with it. You got to persevere. Nobody's going to hand it to you. It's not just going to be an easy road, and this podcast falls into that category. That this is, you just got to get up every day. What do they say? 80%, 90% of life is showing up. You just got to get up, show up, and do this. Keep getting better. Here we are, sitting in front of you guys doing this. It's pretty remarkable. So that's just another example of that sort of fundamental principle of anything that's worth it takes time and effort and hard work, and I want to stick with it. There you go.
Cool. Well said.
How about for you?
So the thing that jumps out at me is people hear passion, and you mentioned authenticity earlier, or something along those lines. We can, we're not making up stuff here. We're sharing experiences and knowledge that we have based on those experiences, and people can hear that passion, and it connects with them, and it makes it real for them. So, people hear passion.
All right. What is?
Hey, so what did you hold off on saying earlier? That you said you'd wait till we were recording.
This is new. This is brand new. This is like literally like today.
All right.
New. So I know you guys at the club, you have names that are just very.
Oh, great.
Blitz.
I know where this is going.
It's Blitz. It's that's manly. That's masculine. That's awesome. And So I don't know if these things will stick with you guys.
No, I fucking hope not.
He has a new nickname, Cinderella. He's got a new nickname, and he gave himself that nickname.
I did.
Here's
not with the intent of it being my nickname.
Look, man, I so hope this sticks. I so hope this sticks. Please, somebody swap out his name tag on string. I know. That's against the code. I got it. I'm good. I know.
No,
I know you guys won't do that.
No.
All right, buy him a pipe that says Cinderella on it or something. See, he was at my wife teaches spin, cycle, and she was teaching her class last night, and Bryant and I came to the course together to work out.
And we learned some stuff last night.
We did, and so we're doing the cycle class, and Bryant's got these spin shoes. That were made, I think back in 1970 when they first invented.
Now, they were about 15 years old, though. And turns out we figured out what the life cycle of adhesive is on their soles. Yep, turns out.
All right, I got to read the text message to you that he sent me. All right. There it is. Okay, where is it? I lost it. I had it. All right,
let's just move on.
I sent him pictures, and you guys can't see this. I sent him pictures. You can kind of sort of see that. That's the bottom of a spin shoe.
Like the whole damn sole came off.
It came off.
Completely disconnected.
So Paula found it on the floor this morning in the cycle studio, and she took a picture of it and sent it to me. She goes, "Is this from Bryant?" Because nobody else
leaving his shit in my room.
Nobody else would have a monster foot like that's doing spin. And so I texted to him and I said, "Is this your shoe, or a piece of your shoe?" And he stepped back and first he said, "I don't know. Let me go check. Let me look." And he says, "That's taking blowing out my flip flop to a whole new level." I said, "Well, Anyway, he comes back like 5 minutes later and he says, "I am your Cinderella." There you go.
Right? Yeah, it's my fucking shoe, but I didn't. Yeah. So
Cinderella.
no name tag changes there. No.
Get him a pipe, Cinderella. I'll buy somebody a case of beer who does that. There you go. I've put it down there.
All right. Very good. That was actually one of my questions. Let's see. Where's it at here? If you're Prince Charming, who's your Cinderella?
I am Prince Charming.
I was just going to, open the door for you there to tell that story.
Thank you.
Because I thought it was a funny story. Yeah. Anyways.
Oh.
Moving right along.
My Cinderella's sitting right there.
Yeah. That's different.
Okay. All right. Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah. That's your sweet pea.
That's my sweet pea. Her name's Paula.
Are you Facebooking live right now?
You are? You are not.
What's
Get
up,
out of
Facebook?
Dodge.
Hello, Facebook. All of it. Oh, fuck me.
Oh, you are not putting that out. Wait, you didn't. Stop.
This was a damn conspiracy. You knew this was going to happen.
I did not know this. I had no idea.
Nah, it's all good. I own it, man. I said it.
All right.
Don't want a new nickname though.
Cinderella, case of beer.
Oh Jesus.
And it's out there.
All right. What else are we talking about?
I'm good. I'm ready for some questions from the audience.
All right. Yeah, absolutely. Who has questions? Who's going to be brave enough to break the ice and be the first one to walk up here? I know. Look, there's a microphone waiting right here for you. Cal, don't do anything. All right, come on.
You don't forget to turn on the microphone.
So the funny story is I'm going to have to figure out which one that is, but I'm going to turn them both up just to make sure.
All right.
Is it on? You guys got me?
It is on, man.
Fantastic. All right, so here's my question for you guys.
No, first you got to tell us who you are.
Oh, Aaron.
I mean, I know you, but tell us who you are.
I'm Aaron.
Aaron what?
Aaron Snyder.
All right. Well, welcome, Aaron Snyder. Thanks for coming up here to talk to us.
I appreciate it. So here's my question for you guys. So in your introduction, you talked a little bit about the dark ages, right? And you've also talked in the past about kind of living a no regrets kind of life, right? Mm-hmm. So I know you guys wouldn't take that back, right? It happened.
Right.
It is what it is. But my question is, well, first let me tell you what I kind of took away from that, right? Because you guys went down a path that wasn't ideal for what you're doing. You recognized it, changed course, corrected, and have come back stronger from it. So for me, there was a lesson there of recognizing your own actions, recognizing when you're walking down a path that's not ideal, and then doing that self-reflection to change course and make a better way. So I'm curious what your guys' takeaway from that period of this show was, either individually or as a podcast. Like, what did you guys take away from that experience of kind of walking down a path that you realize this isn't where we want to go, and then changing course?
Would you like to answer that first?
Sure.
All right.
Well, thank you, Aaron, for asking the question, first of all. And I think...
Before you say that, though, I will have to say that the morning that we changed up and called ourselves out that we weren't going to do that anymore, and had a new episode with a much more positive, subject matter like we normally do, I got a message from Aaron, text message, that said, "I'm so glad y'all pulled your heads out of your asses and decided to get back into your, core and what you're actually good at." So that wasn't exactly what he said, but that's ultimately what he said.
Yeah, so for me, when you said that and Bryant gave me the feedback, and honestly, maybe you were also, Bryant, I had some discomfort about it. I just thought, just because that wasn't the intended purpose of the podcast, and I knew that we had sort of strayed off of our path a little bit, but there was just such a crazy time, and you felt like you needed to comment on it, and so we sort of got sucked into all of that for a few episodes or whatever, and then we came back. But for me, and I'll answer your question by telling the story about another person. My daughter is a huge Taylor Swift fan, and Taylor Swift, from my perspective, was an artist who had a tremendously broad audience because of the appeal that she had to everybody. And then at some point, she decided that she was going to come out with her political views very strongly, and she instantly, in a flash of a second, alienated more than half of her audience instantly. And I watched that happen in the press, and I read all of this stuff happening when she decided to come out and support the issues that she was supporting. And I thought, wow, she had this tremendous impact. And I know she wants to use her platform to send a message, but that's not what we're trying to do. We're trying to help people live a better life. We're not trying to alienate our audience by digging in. I mean, I have my beliefs. Everybody has their own beliefs, but the idea is it's a different mission. And so once, for me, that became clear, and we kind of got back onto where we were going. And it all came full circle just a couple weeks ago when we did Thomas Jefferson's Canons of Conduct. And number 11 on that list, which I mentioned on the podcast, was my favorite. It was, think as you wish, and so let others, and you will have no conflict. I'm going to believe what I believe. You can believe what you want to believe. On any issue, it doesn't matter. Just let's decide that we're going to live within the rule of law that we all, as a representative republic, decide we're going to live under. But then you can think what you want. You can be who you want. You can kind of have the issues that you have. I don't have to have the same issues, but let's just figure out how to get along and live well among all of ourselves. So that was my journey. Okay, Brian, go ahead.
Yeah, and for me, it was, there's a few things that jumped out, right? So I'm totally against negativity. Don't want negativity, don't want drama in my life. And I felt like we were kind of, perpetuating that in our own lives based on the conversations that we were having on these podcasts by, getting mentally too connected to some of this bullshit that was going on and getting sucked into it. And so that was part of it. And then the other part was that, that's not what we're good at. That's not what we set out to talk with people about. That's not the mission that we're on, and not the information that we want to share. There's plenty of other people out there doing that and they can't do what we do, and we shouldn't be trying to do what they do. So, we stay in our lane, and, that's really what jumped out at me.
Very, very great lessons. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
And I've broken the ice for you.
Yes.
All
Yes,
right.
you have.
Thanks,
so
Aaron.
We'll see
Yeah.
who comes
you
up
no
next.
longer have to be the first one who's coming up next. Thank you, Aaron. TikTok.
Come on, Theo.
TikTok.
Come on. Well, you don't have to, unless you really have something. But all right, you can do it. All right. Theo, Fredericksburg, born and bred. He has the best name in the whole world. Can I tell him what your name is?
Go for it. Oh, you got to get it right.
Theodosius Georgius Zotos.
Paul's
That's
at
his full
us.
name. Oh, Paul.
I have 2 middle names.
I forgot the Paul. I'm very sorry about that.
No,
That
no.
is the greatest name. It really is. You got to scoot over here. Come on.
Okay, let's do it.
Come on. Because we
Right,
got
get in the frame.
Yeah, we got to see you up there. All right. Lay it on us, Theo.
So I don't actually have the question articulated in my mind, so I'm just going to go ahead and ramble.
Yeah.
I think I'm probably the youngest in the room, and I've just recently started following your podcast. So for someone that's young and knows you well, Kevin, I guess I would ask for both of you, kind of speak to, I think one thing that I've seen in the podcast and kind of distinguishes you and probably a lot of people in this room that listen to the podcast as well is, and I think I recently talked to you about this, is getting comfortable being uncomfortable. And that kind of speaks to the podcast a little bit. In my experience over the past few months, I think I've talked to you about this a little bit. I think that's kind of what you mentioned earlier about really taking on challenges and, not having it all figured out at first, but kind of just taking the dive and just let the journey ride out for itself. So kind of just asking you guys to speak a little bit to that. Where'd you get that from? Is it something you read in the book, something, a role model that you had in your life? Kind of just speak to where you got that drive and that determination.
That's a great question.
Yeah, it is.
You want to go? You go first.
Yeah,
this time.
so for me, and that's, Kevin kind of alluded to it when we first were talking about, when are we going to start recording the podcast? And, we need to get this right. We need to do it now. We need to put a date out there and we need to just do it. Because, when you start waiting around for everything to be perfect, you're never going to get shit done. Sometimes, good enough is good enough, and you just got to move forward and you work it out from there. You've listened to our first episodes. They weren't all that great. Subject matter wise, they may have been pretty decent. Technology wise, I certainly hope they're better now than they were then. But you gotta, I think a lot of that has, just over time, I have gotten to where I've adopted a mindset that I don't focus so much on how other people necessarily are going to be impacted and how that kind of controls my actions. I just, that perfectionism is the kiss of death, and when you just wait around for it to be right, you'll never get shit done. And to answer the question, did I learn that from someone or is that just personal experience? I think it's some of both. And there's several folks out there in the personal and professional development arena that I listen to their stuff and have attended some of their seminars and so on. But I don't know if I can attribute that to one particular person. It works. Absolutely works. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here. If we were still waiting to get that shit right, we'd still be waiting to get that shit right.
I was still making a lot of mistakes. When I was your age, I did not have the same mindset that I have now. So for me, it came with time and trial and experience. And it didn't have to, because I was given many opportunities. I guess I would say to you, it's better. So to back up a little bit, something we've talked about on the podcast. You're at a family reunion, and everybody's at the dinner table, and everybody's yelling at each other because there's some topic that came up that's controversial, and one or two people think something, and other people in the family think something else. And the grandparents, or the oldest folks, they're kind of sitting off to the side, and they're watching all this bullshit happen, and they're like, man, it's just stupid. Look at all these young people arguing it, fighting, duking it out. And the reason that happens is it's not because they don't have energy. It's not because of anything else other than they've been there, they've done that, they've seen it, and they have the wisdom to know all the stupid stuff that you're arguing about at the dinner table in the grand scheme of life just doesn't matter. And they don't care anymore. And not about the issue or whatever. And it's not that they don't have their beliefs, but I remember my father saying to me, there's such freedom in coming to the point where you just don't care what other people think about you.
Right.
You have to get to that point in life where you be you. I'm going to live my life with my convictions, with my thoughts. I'm going to be the person that I am, and I don't give a damn what anybody else thinks about me. That is not an easy place to get to. It's not. And, I still struggle with it at my advanced age, although not as advanced, hopefully.
Ain't that the damn truth?
I know, it's amazing.
Advanced age.
But yeah, you do hang it out there, but you keep trying and knocking down the hurdles, and all of a sudden you arrive. Is that helpful to you?
That's great.
Okay.
Yeah,
Right.
so I've got one thing to add to that,
All right.
right? So I think in our younger days, you've heard the phrase, somebody tells you the stove's hot, what do you do? Well, I think in your younger days, you're like, seriously, the stove's hot? No. Oh, shit, the stove's hot. That's what you do in your younger days. Your older days, somebody tells you the stove's hot, and you're like, all right, cool. I'm good with that. You tell me it's hot? Makes sense to me. I'm not touching the damn thing. So I think you just learn as you go, too. And, I think I know I was like that in my younger years, and my parents could probably confirm this, that, they said the sky was blue, and I'm like, yeah, no, it's not. Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
All right.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
You're welcome.
All right. I got another question for you while we're waiting for somebody else to come up here.
Yes, sir. If somebody else come on up, and
So
sit down, we'll
this
talk
is
for
not intended to embarrass you, and
no.
and hopefully it doesn't,
There we go.
because it's a serious question. And the advanced age is what reminded me that I had written this question down when you made that comment, because if we're going to have this conversation, we need to have it this year. So the question is, why does your wife Paula keep suggesting we do an episode on sex in your 50s?
I was going to ask that question. That was my question.
I know, that's
I'm
what
sorry.
he just said.
I didn't mean to steal that from you, but you've asked it a number of times. Hey, why don't you guys do an episode on sex in your 50s? And I'm like, well, it hit me. Like, shit, we got to do it now, because you're about to exit those.
The answer to that question ought to be obvious to you.
Well, maybe
and everybody
sometimes
else.
things are not obvious. So
There you go. There you go.
it's just that good.
I'm just
So apparently,
that
Paula just wants to
good.
share it with other people. How freaking good it is. So good on you, buddy. Give me some. Yes. Well done.
Actually, the truth is, well, this is way inside way
Right.
inside baseball, but
Now,
we are.
I think now it actually is bringing back some memories from the cycle class last night, and she was making comments about endurance and come on, no, you're not done yet, keep going. All right, it's coming together for me now.
It's easy to get excited about the person that I'm married to. It's easy to come home and get excited about that. So actually, it's more about her than it is about me. Thank you for loving me and all of that.
Isn't that?
Yeah,
That's cool.
yeah,
Very
yeah.
cool.
There you go. So,
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Threw that up there for you.
That was a good one. Well,
I still think we should do that podcast, man. Kevin thinks not, apparently.
I just, I don't know. See, I grew up in a very sort of, tight, you don't talk about those things kind of home.
Oh, I did too.
And so just busting out of that in this.
Apparently, I developed that later in life, because I don't recall having these conversations at home when I was a kid.
All right, I'm not saying that I couldn't be convinced to do that, but.
Well, think about it, because we're going to do it. Like I said, we got less than 365 days to do it.
It's sort of like we're doing it already right now, right? Good Lord. People know way more about me than I wanted them to when we coming into this.
So it wasn't intended to embarrass you, but that was funny.
All right, here's a softball question for you.
We'll call this payback, probably.
No,
right?
no, it's not. This is a good one. It has to do with one of my favorite podcasts, and I wanted to ask you, now that more time has passed, and it has to do with the one that we talked about. You are 100% responsible for your life. As you think back about that issue now, what are your current thoughts on it? Has anything changed? Is it still the same, or has it evolved any? Where are you at on that?
No, it certainly hadn't changed, unless you would consider deepening that belief, right? Because absolutely believe 100% that you are responsible for you and everything that happens in your life. You are the common denominator in every single success and failure that you've had in your life. You were the one that was there. And it's it's all about you, and your success or your failure is all about you. Own it. Accountability is a huge thing. Accountability is one of those things that everybody wants right up until they're subjected to it.
Yeah.
And so what you do to get ahead of that is you subject yourself to it and hold yourself accountable for your own behavior and adherence to the values that you put out there that you believe in.
Yeah. Yep. All right. And then the one thing that I'll just add to that is everybody in this room is in a variety of different relationships as a father, as a son, as a wife, as a daughter, as a, all of those various things. We all have relationships. And that for some reason, you know the old saying, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. And I was reading the book that I've talked about many times, The Compound Effect, amazing book. But he was telling the story about the relationship that he had with his wife. And he asked the question, and we've talked about it on the podcast, but maybe some of you are hearing it again or hearing it for the first time. What is the balance of responsibility in this relationship? What should it be? Is it 50-50? Does it move back and forth? Is it 60-40, because she's having a bad day or he's having a bad day, or what's the right balance to have a healthy relationship? And then he went on to say, you are 100% responsible for your relationship, 100% at all times. I was like, wait, what? No, that's not right. I'm not 100% responsible for that. She owes me some. Come back my way. And he went on to describe how when you have that mentality that you are 100% responsible for the maintenance of your relationship, it changes everything about how you approach that relationship. That just really struck me. And he goes on to make the point in a variety of different ways about that. But I love that, and I live that now. Not perfectly. I'm far from perfect, believe me. But the idea of I'm 100% responsible for my relationship. I am 100% responsible for the things that happen to me in my life. I am 100% responsible for the way I react to things that are going on. I am 100% responsible. I'm not putting that off on anybody else. When you have that mentality, that mindset, just changes how you go through life. It's amazing. It's really good.
Yeah, great point. And I think it changes the outcome sometimes too, right? Especially when you're talking about, maybe a husband and wife relationship where, when you both have that mindset that you're 100% responsible for the relationship, you're not sitting around waiting for somebody else to, take care of their part or whatnot. We all have moments of weakness where while we intend to show up a certain way, we might show up differently. And when if you think you only have 50% responsibility and the other person has the other 50%, well, when you don't bring your 50% and they bring theirs, then we're at a deficit, right? When you bring your, 100%, which that day actually worked out to be 85%, and they bring their 100, you're still whole because you might make some stupid error and deal with a scenario in a way that you wouldn't normally. Because of circumstances that might be going on, but the other person is going to pick up your slack and know what's going on and help keep that situation, whatever the subject matter is, from becoming a bad or a volatile situation just because you're both 100% or went into that with 100%. Does that make sense?
Yep.
And I'm not basing that one off theory either. I'm basing that off of a recent conversation that my wife and I had.
All right.
Yeah, because, we all know about this neck injury I've been dealing with.
Right.
Yeah, and this pain doesn't make me a happy-go-lucky, normal, cheery person like I usually am. So she had to pick up, an extra 15% for me the other night because I was acting like a jackass. But she did, and we avoided we don't argue anyways, but she helped me out because I was being a jackass, and she gave me some grace.
Well done, Julie. Well done. Yeah. I do have one more thing that I want to talk about, but I'm gonna keep that till the very end. But I do have one more question for you. Are we good? We're 1 hour and 4 minutes. Have we done enough? Have we had enough?
Well, I don't know, man. I can keep going.
All right.
Have y'all had enough? You want to keep going?
Keep
Trenton
going.
says no, we've not had enough. Let's keep going. Well, come on, Trenton, come up here and ask us a question. You've been a loyal listener from day one, and you've offered us a bunch of feedback, so now you get to do it live and in person. And yes, I'm calling you out.
While he's coming up here, I'm going to ask you a question.
All right.
I'm going to ask you a question.
Ask me something.
I'm going to ask you a question. You ready?
Yes, sir. Okay, he's here.
Well, hold on. This is good because you can commentate as well. If I asked Julie what she thought about you and this podcast, in your own words, what would she say about this?
I don't know. I honestly,
Man, that was a good question.
Yeah, I don't know if I have an answer for that, because she certainly, we have conversations about. She's always intrigued to know what the subject matter of the evening is, what we're going to be talking about, and yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think
take a guess.
I think she thinks it's a good thing.
Okay.
And appreciates the information that we're putting out there and so on, and sees it as a positive thing. She certainly doesn't give me any shit about spending every Monday night with you. And maybe that's because, she's happy to get rid of me for a little while. I don't know.
I doubt it.
But yeah, I don't know. That would certainly be a question for her to answer, I think.
She has told me repeatedly that my singing is lovely. So
Jesus, you hear multiple voices in your head. That's impressive. Mine and hers.
Trenton,
have
we're
you
ready.
seen a doctor about this? All right, sorry. We invited you up here, and we're just like leaving you. No, come closer, man.
I can't answer that question that you just asked.
Come closer so we can get you in the frame here.
I'm in the frame.
Come on, let's get uncomfortably close. It's like, well, easy now, big fella. Oh, you want to use my microphone too? Come on.
So I don't really have a question. I was trying to scroll through Facebook and see all the times I'd messaged you, and it's probably about 104 times over these.
Are you serious?
Wow.
No, it's not. Not that many.
I was like, shit, I didn't think it was that many.
Well, there are a lot you ignore. So, there is that.
No, fuck that. I do not. Oh,
Man.
No, but
This is gold, Jerry.
the one that really I wanted to. It's not really a question. It's more of a point. It was. So I posted April 5th of last year. I don't know the podcast number, whatever, but there was an episode where you drove the point of write down, because we were just entering COVID, and you made a point to say write down the things that you think you miss, because the movie theater shut down, the sports shut down, the entire world shut down. And your point was make a list of the things that you think are the most important things in your life that you're not going to be able to do, and then look at that in a year, and then see, did you really miss it? And so that was because I did. I made a list. I don't have it here, but it was going to the movies. It was going to the cigar lounge, which didn't ever close, by the way. Doing the various things, and I've got 2 school-age children, and the entire world has stunk for the past year. So it was just interesting to go back the other day and look through that list to see what I wrote down, and then really go, was it really that stuff that I thought was important? It really wasn't important in the big picture. So it was just really interesting. So I give you guys a lot of credit for that.
Yeah, that's very cool. I appreciate you sharing that. I think that was probably, if I had to guess, in episode 42, Pandemic Pandemonium, What to Do.
That would probably be about right.
Yeah, and that was. I remember saying that, where write it down. What do you miss doing? Because what's going to happen if you're not careful when you go back to normal and start doing things again? You won't look at that list, and you will find that stuff that you said was important you're actually not making time for anymore. So yeah, focus on that. Thanks for calling that out, man.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the other one I was going to make was the first post I made was about episode 2, and I had to go back and look at notes because when you read off the title, it seemed like I may have mixed up my message. But the final point I wrote down about it was happiness is a choice, which is what you said.
Right.
Live in the present. And for me personally, so that was July 17th of 2019. I was personally going through just a lot of weird, like where am I at in life things? Am I successful in my career? And that was a point that was exactly what I needed to hear at that day because living in the present, which is something I still try and do every day, not focus on yesterday or tomorrow, just be here, be now. That's all that matters. So a lot of your messages have come across to me of just the things that I needed to hear at that exact moment. It's very weird how that's occurred. So.
Yeah, that's cool. It's weird, and that's the way it works for some reason.
It is, yeah.
That's cool. I appreciate you sharing that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks, man.
Of course.
All right. What else are we talking about?
I just wanted to respond to that and say yesterday is gone forever and tomorrow never comes.
Right.
That's it.
It's like that sign. I don't know if you guys have one here, that free beer tomorrow sign. Shit ain't never happening.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's it. It ain't never happening. The final thing I wanted to talk about is a subject that I actually focus on every single day of my life, usually multiple times. It has a lot to do with you guys sitting out there because of the role that all of you play, the role that Paula plays in my life, and that is this waking up every day grateful. Just having this attitude of gratefulness for having the opportunity to wake up and have another day. That to me, it's become so incredibly important to my psychological health. I wake up in the morning. I am the kind of guy that wakes up and I am instantly on. I'm instantly alert. It doesn't take me, I know everybody's different, but for me, I'm ready to go. And so I just immediately go into this period of time where I just spend several minutes being grateful, thinking about all the things that I'm grateful for. I'm grateful for this podcast. I'm grateful that I met you. All the warts and hairs and mistakes we made along the way. And anybody who's listening to the podcast know I'm pretty open about the mistakes that I've made in my life. I made a lot, and I'll continue to make them. But you know what? I'm still here. And God has chosen to give me another day. Every day I wake up, He's chosen to give me another day to continue to live and to grow and to learn and to have an impact on the world. And so I am thankful for all of that. And I just love the fact that we're here doing this. And I love the fact that people showed up to listen to us. It's amazing. Thank you for doing that very, very much. We have a smart audience, and I appreciate the fact that smart people who care about life in their communities and would take the time out of their lives to come and show up and do this with us. So there you go. That's my final.
Amen to that. And thank you guys again. Thanks for calling out gratitude, because that's hugely important. Gratitude is the negativity slayer in your life. And, you can't be walking around being grateful for things and be in a shitty mood at the same time. Those two just kind of cancel one another out.
Yep.
That gratitude will slay the negativity and kick it right out of your life. So focus on that every morning. Hit the ground. What are you thankful for? Yeah, that's cool. Thanks for calling that out. And I'm thankful for you, man. I'm thankful that you said yes to that text message I sent you that I forced myself to send before I talked myself out of it. I appreciate the knowledge you shared on here and the passion that you have about doing this, and the dedication that you continue to show by showing up and singing to me every Monday night.
All right.
Yeah.
Woo, dog.
Except this is a Tuesday because the brewery's not open on Monday night.
And I'm excited that the audiences get to help us sign off. That's another good one.
Yeah, we're going to have to...
we need it loud and proud when we get there, guys. All right?
I think maybe we should actually have some folks come a little closer so the mics will pick them up.
No,
just have them yell real loud. You know how we sign off these episodes, right? The enjoy the ride. And thank you very much for the birthday gift, by the way, the enjoy the ride plaque. I put that in my office right over the light switch.
Did you?
And the reason I put it over the light switch is that's the incoming thought and the outgoing thought when I leave and enter that room.
Sweetness
right?
and light.
Enjoy the ride.
Yeah.
Thought that was good placement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
So thank you for that. All right.
I'm done.
That's it. We're not going to keep talking about other stuff. I got more questions for you.
All right. I mean,
let's see here. Let me see if there's any that I can, continue to live without asking you.
Trying to be done, guys. I really was.
All right. Do you want us to be done?
No, I'm good. I'm ready.
No, I was talking to them.
Oh.
Clearly you want us to be done, but I'm more concerned about them right now. You want us to be done? Oh, it looks like maybe yes.
Yeah, I'm thinking so.
All right.
Yeah.
I still have to ask this one, though.
Oh, Lord.
What the hell is a VART?
You remember what a VART? Do you not remember what a VART is?
I refresh my memory on the acronym because we got some good feedback on VART.
Did we?
Yeah. Just because, it could be confused.
It's
with
not
other things.
fart, it's VART.
Right. And it's not fart by some other part of an anatomy.
So it was I'm trying to think of the exact way that I phrased it. VART were 4 letters that outline an approach to life, approach to success, fundamental principles of success. There we go. So the V is for vision. Decide, think into the future about what it is that you want to do, what it is you want to be. It can be, you're trying to win a certain type of job, or you're trying to, get healthy by a certain date, or you're trying to, you just name it, whatever. I project myself out and I have a vision, so that's the V. A, take action. Nothing happens. If we just sit there and think about it, that's like intellectual masturbation, right? It feels good, everything is going great, but nothing comes from it. It's just.
Is that what you do when you go fuck yourself?
Right.
If you tell somebody, I think you should go intellectually masturbate. Is that a nice way of telling somebody to go fuck themselves?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
that's a good.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm down with that. Remember that.
So take action. Without action, nothing. You can think about it. You can talk about it. You can plan. You can write. You can write checklists. You can write poems. You can do all that stuff. But if you don't take action, you never get there. So the third thing is R. VAR. When you start taking action, you get results. The world gives you feedback about how you're doing. If you make a decision to go over here and do this, as soon as you start taking action, the world starts giving you feedback. That's the results part. As you get that feedback from the world, that helps you understand, okay, now I got some data. And I know that I have to, keep doing what I'm doing, or adjust, or change course, or go in a different direction. Totally don't know what that is. I heard a ringing.
I heard that too.
Anyway.
Oh, that's the battery on that camera over there going, I'm out.
And then the T is tend the garden. So vision, where are you going? Action, take action to get there. The world gives you results. And then as you consider what those results are, I use this metaphor all the time. Life is like a garden. Your life is like a garden. You plan it out. You know where you want to have all the various different types of plants, what they are, tall here, short there. That's in the shade, so whatever can tolerate the shade. All of that kind of stuff, you're constantly thinking about this garden. But if you walk away from your garden for a month and you come back, it ain't the same garden that you left a month. You got to constantly be working on it. You got to pull the weeds. You got to prune the trees. You got to plant that. You got to move that plant because it's not doing well in that area. That's just like your life. You have to constantly be tending the garden, constantly paying attention, maintaining situational awareness about, I don't know what that look is exactly, but so that's what VART is, okay?
Yeah.
Vision, action, results, tend the garden, okay?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that. And the reason I asked you that question was twofold, because I think the term VART is funny.
Okay.
And we got some feedback on that from different folks. More importantly, I think what the acronym stands for and what you just so eloquently described is powerful information. So thanks for sharing that.
That was nice of you. I'm a little off guard because you did that. I'm not quite sure what. That's good. Thank you.
Does my kindness catch you off guard?
It does. Yes, it does. Absolutely.
Oh. All right. Any more questions from you guys? Anybody just sitting back there in the chair saying, I really want to go ask this question, but that little gremlin on your shoulder is going, no, it's a stupid fucking question.
They can just throw it out there.
Yeah. Come on.
Here.
Come on. What you got? Anybody? Robin? No?
Come on, Robin.
Nothing?
Robin, come on.
The best guests of all time?
Where does Paula teach cycle? You keep talking about her teaching this class. I don't understand. Where does she teach?
Somewhere in Fredericksburg. At this awesome boutique fitness studio called Sweat And yeah, Sweat it's an outstanding place. Go check it out. Absolutely. And,
I did say that earlier.
Yeah, we said it a couple times, I think. We might have. Did we say it while we were recording though? I don't know.
She wanted bookends. She wants at the beginning, at the end. See, that's why Sweat.
That's the marketing genius in her right there.
Yeah. Anything else?
All right. Oh.
Uh-oh.
No, we're gonna make you come to the microphone. No, we're gonna make you come to the microphone. Come on.
All right. Woo, doggy.
We need some microphone, walking music. I'll have to work on that next time.
What should we be expecting from the Graybeards this next year? What are you going to be doing this next year?
Apparently blank stares. That's actually a great question, and that's one of the things that I was going to ask Kevin was, where do you see us in the future? What do you see us doing? And for me, it's more of this. Both, what we're doing on a weekly basis with podcasts and sharing information that will help people have more productive and happier, more joyful lives, and not just doing it in a weekly format where we're just recording in the comfort of my basement, but also maybe looking at doing something like this where we do. Kevin mentioned the fact we're going to do these lob talks, learning over beers. Maybe doing more of that stuff where we're actually out and have folks that are able to engage and further the conversation, because we want to hear from you guys too.
I would just add to that in my view, what our country needs right now desperately is I got to think of the right way to say this. Our country needs sanity. Our country needs peace. Our country needs people who are willing to understand and appreciate not only the best ways to live in human beings, but not for 1 second are all cultures created equal. They're not. The reason that some countries thrive and some countries don't very much has to do with culture. Cultures are not created equal. I personally believe that the culture, the fundamental principles, the imperfect union that was conceived by the founders of this amazing country were wise beyond their years. And to understand and appreciate that, and to know where it came from, and to want to fight, support, and defend that, not just and also not just in the lives of us as citizens, but also in our personal lives. I don't know. I just think there's a new country song. It's like, am I the only one that's thinking this way? There are people out there who desperately want they want leadership, they want normalcy, they want good behavior, they want decency. And I want us to be part of a community that is willing to be that leavened bread that helps everybody around. I just to be contributing members of society in a way that's useful, that's not divisive, that's just so. And I think this is a platform to do that. So that's.
Yeah, it's one of the things that you talked about, building that community, a community of people like you that give a shit about who we are as a country. That song that Kevin referenced is a new song by Aaron Lewis.
Yeah, thank you.
I think the title is something to the effect of "Am I the Only One?" I just posted it on my Facebook page yesterday because I thought it's a great song and it's a great message. And no, he's not the only one. There's a lot more of us out there that care about the historical America and not the America that some people are trying to turn it into. And the people that, unfortunately, historically, those people that believe in that America that we feel like is being eroded away slowly, have not been willing to step out and be vocal about it. And I think that time has passed, and we have to. Because the other side is being that way, and we got to make sure that we're communicating our values. And local elections, and I don't want to get off on a political vein, but that's important, right? So there's people get all wrapped around the axle about national elections and things of that nature. There's no more important elections than stuff that happens here locally, because that's the stuff that's going to affect your everyday life. And so pay attention to what's going on. If you got kids on the school board and the board of supervisors or city council, wherever you may live, pay attention to what they're doing and who's getting voted into those positions, because that will have an impact on your life.
Yeah, and so I'll finish again with the late great Viktor Frankl, who wrote the book Man's Search for Meaning, Survived the Holocaust. He summed it up very, very simply, and that was, there are really only two races of people in the world. There are decent people and there are indecent people. That's it. And I think, and so, but it's not just external, it's also internal. Externally, let's just be decent people and figure out how to get along. But internally, let's get our own house in order. Let's, as individual people, how do we choose to live our lives? How do we choose to make decisions? What are the principles that we choose to live by as individuals? Just because if I'm good and I'm okay, then that's going to project. That's going to propagate out from me. And I think that's what we're doing. We're just trying to put out a heartbeat that impacts, some people who are in this room. And there you go. So again,
smack microphone time?
Right. Mic drop. Yeah. Or however that sounds.
Not like that, I don't think. It depends on where you drop it, I guess.
There you go. I'm good.
All right. So you're good? If we stop right now.
Yes.
There's not anything that you haven't said that you're going to regret not saying.
Nope. I'm good.
All right.
I'm going to sleep well tonight.
Well, thank you guys for being here to listen, and for those of you that came up to engage in conversation and ask some questions. And for those of you that didn't, shame on you. You had an opportunity. But next time you'll be up here asking questions. So as we close these out each and every time, I've got this little ramble that I do, and then we close with enjoy the ride, right? So I'm going to remember to push the button.
Yeah, I was going to say push the button.
Yeah, because you're not going to let me forget that shit.
Right.
All right, it's the red button, right? All right.
I totally don't know. You push the button.
Yeah, it's a red button. So no matter who you are, where you are, what you're doing, make sure between this podcast and the next, you take time to enjoy the ride.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Graybeard Chronicles. Please subscribe so you'll receive notification when new episodes are available. To learn more about the Graybeards, visit their website, graybeardchronicles.com.
And now we have the massive rush to the restroom.